Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Rain Day Gaming. Here we cover a ton of stuff like gaming, and also sometimes we talk about life and certain things that relate to gaming and not necessarily about the gameplay itself. Today is going to be one of those topics where we talk a little bit about the video game industry and how you might be able to get into it, as well as esports, which is kind of an add-on industry to the video game industry, although completely separate and probably deserving of its own video. Now, the reason I'm putting this video together is because people countless times ask me, Evan, what the heck do you do to get into the video game industry? It's pretty much a conundrum that most people don't know how to solve, and honestly, on paper, it looks like an unsolvable problem. It's notorious that the video game industry asks for experience in the video game industry before they hire you into a role. However, how do you ever get experience without getting hired into a role in the first place? That's what makes it difficult. There's no set path. There's no go to high school, go to college, get this internship, do this. It's very, very up in the air as to how to progress and finally get yourself connected and employed at a company. Now, if you've gone to school for programming and you're interested in video game programming or creating characters, animations, drawing, stuff like that from the beginning, that's a different path. And for those who have that artistic ability or have just put the work in, this is a great way to put your name in a hat, so to speak, and be a part of a video game company. It's a lot easier when you have these types of skills because, of course, every game needs some type of art, it needs some type of animation, it needs some type of rigging, it needs programming. All of these things are essential, and the industry is always looking for more and more people with talented skills in this area. So one way to definitely be a part of the industry is to develop those skills, either by going to a community college if you've already finished yours, maybe getting a master's and electing to choose down this path after you've already done a more traditional path. Maybe you've gone history, maybe you've studied a language, maybe you've actually become a psychology major like me and decided, you know what, I want to add on to my education in order to pursue this career that I find really interesting right now. A lot of people who get into the video game industry are passionate gamers who have loved gaming since they were kids, and that's something that I resonate with very much so. When I was young, me and my cousins would play games every single holiday, and it would make me really love the idea of gaming in general. I'd want to do that for the rest of my life. It was something that, as you can assume, had a lot of nostalgia for me growing up, and I always look forward to those times when I could have them again. Creating my own video games was just a natural part of that process. Realizing that we were playing games and so many things that we talked about what we wanted to do and how we wanted to make them better or how we wanted to put our own spin on them got me thinking about what would it be like if my whole life could be like this, hanging with people I love, playing games and doing things that I love, and creating things that I think could improve on the things that I already love and make it a better experience for others in the world. And I'm sure a lot of people also built that foundation with themselves and with others, and is why they aspire to be a part of this growing and very cool industry. But it may not mean that you want to be a programmer, or it may not mean you have the time or the passion to really become an artist as well, but you want to work on a video game. So maybe you want to design, you want to be a part of creating and making decisions as to what a game can and should be because you feel very familiar with it and feel like you could do a great job. So one of the interesting things to do if you are not an artist or a programmer is to get into the community side of things on a video game company. So a lot of companies hire community managers and community associates, people who interact with the community of the games that they make. And this is a great way to go one-on-one with pretty much the design team, with the direction of the company, and where the decisions from top down for what they want the game to be like and feel like as far as the community. From marketing, you pretty much interact with a lot of different departments to make sure that the people who are playing your game love it and they're getting the right image of it. It's a wonderful position, and I work a lot with our community managers as far as giving them updates as to what it's like with our high-level pros, what the esports scene is going like. They interact with a lot of the leagues that we run in, and they also interact with a lot of the feedback that players from Paladins, and of course in the Smite position, the Smite community managers are feeling, and how to relay that to the design team, how to be, letting know what's the pulse of the community, what are the hot topics, what needs to be handled in the next update, what's something we should look at in the future, knowing how people feel about it now, and either the negative or positive feedback that we've been receiving. What I love about this position, though, community management in general, is I feel that it's a very hands-on position that you learn a lot and can transition into several different roles within a company because of the experience that you get from this role. The other cool thing about this position is you can thrive, I think, with any background that you have. So whether you come from an athletic background like myself, whether you come through a finance background at, Michigan State or whatever, I think you could do well in this position because it's really about who you are and what you do. It's more about the work that you put in once you get hired rather than your background. We have so many different, community managers that we've seen across our games from different backgrounds, from journalism, from streaming, from esports back in the day, all different types of things that have come together that have created really good community community managers, even though they all have a very different style. So if you ever see a company with a position like that open, I'd love to see a lot of people go for those just to see if they can get their foot in the door in a lot of companies and see where they can move from there. Then you get a big taste of what it's like working in a video game industry, and then you could also kind of gauge how much you really love it versus your idea of it. I will say it is not for the faint of heart. There is a lot of work that goes into the video game industry, and it's something that I didn't realize until I first got into it. Now, another important and very distinctive way to be a part of a video game industry or get a part of a company that you admire and a game that you love is to become a content creator or a person of interest, so to speak, within that game's community. The people who work on a game, they get attached to the people who make content for that game because they're constantly working on the same thing. When they put something out, they want to see the video about how people react. And if there's a main content creator that's always making stuff for the videos or making fun stuff or making it enjoyable, their game, attracting more players, they're going to get on the radar of the people who work at that company. I know one of the ways I got found was actually by making a lot of my content that got on a lot of people's radars at Hi-Rez. You know, Andy Sexton saw some of my videos and enjoyed them and actually shared them on the Smite Showcase. I know Todd and Stu actually saw some of my early Paladins videos and actually really enjoyed them and shared them as well. I noticed that I got on Adam, who used to be our esports manager here, and he was actually one of the guys that saw my esports content that I did on my channel. So by the time I actually got to my visit at Hi-Rez, I had everybody pretty much knowing who I was before I got hired, and that's not always the case. A lot of times you come into the room and people have just found out or looked at your resume just before they've started talking to you. Now, the reason I think this is pretty powerful in being a content creator, putting yourself out there as far as streaming your content and then going in for a job opportunity or getting that opportunity from that is because people can already see kind of who you are. They can already watch you for extended periods of time, see what your personality is like, see what your temperament is like, which is one of those things you can't do in traditional job hirings in most companies. I mean, somebody comes in with a great resume, looks good. I mean, they've got dressed to the nines. Obviously, they're ready for the interview. But when you hire them, what are they going to be like on a day-to-day? You don't really know. What's the 9-to-5 version of this person? I think streaming and content creation allows you to see a little bit more of that and to really get a grasp of, do I like this guy or do I like this girl? Would they be a good part of my organization? So for those of you who are trying to get into a company and feel there's no way for you to go the art route, the degree route, the rigging route, and maybe you don't want to start in the community management, or maybe you feel like you're not going to be a qualified contestant for that quite yet, I think becoming a content creator / a streamer / just a person of influence in that community of the game that you're interested in is the best second route for you to do right now. And again, it worked for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for you, but I do think that this is a very prominent route that I've seen a lot of other people take, and it's gotten the attention of the company, and at least it might get you an interview so that people say, oh, I know that guy. Sure, bring him in. Let's see what he has to do. Maybe he can transition into a role in this organization. You got to also remember, it's hard to find good people. They are a dime a dozen. So if you just develop yourself to where you are a competent person, where you can do your job well, where you are somebody that would be a good fit at a company, no matter almost which company you try to go for, then I believe personally that you will have an opportunity come your way. It may take a little bit longer than, some people, but you will have that opportunity come your way. Now, this is an interesting part because we start talking about having the opportunities come your way, but sometimes people may say, yo, you know what? I've been content creating. I've been grinding. I've been doing the amateur stuff for years and years, and I still haven't had a job. This is a very difficult thing to say to people. It's very hard, and you have to look at it in the overall perspective of your life. But let me just tell you a story about my sister to elucidate this point. Now, about a week ago, I called my sister and I asked what she was up to. Well, little did I know, she was on her way to Arizona to try out for The Voice, the competition that tests whether you could be like the next best superstar as far as singing and performing. Now, my sister, she's got a good voice, don't get me wrong, but The Voice is full of people who really sing, who train to sing. And I was a little surprised that she was going into it. To be honest, she was not going to win The Voice, and I think even deep down, she knew she wasn't going to win The Voice. But I was proud of her for going anyways and taking a huge step towards her career and something that she's passionate about. So the real problem is she gets to the event and she's not able to sing the song that she was supposed to sing. They change it on her right at the last second. So she sings this new song, sings 2 stanzas, and then forgets the third before going into the chorus and outwardly says, oops, I forgot the words. And of course, if you're trying to distinguish yourself amongst hundreds of other people who are trying to be America's next superstar, forgetting the words to your song is probably not a good start. Needless to say, she didn't make it. When I talked to her on the phone, yeah, she was a little disappointed, but what I asked her was that, did you ever really think you were gonna win? And this is weird to her. She said, no, I just wanted to see that I could do it. I never thought I was going to win The Voice. I thought even if I made this round, I'd get out second round. And my question is, why would you do The Voice if you know you're not going to win The Voice? Why go into the first round just to get knocked out in the second round? Is it just you want someone to tell you that you can do it? Do you need to just tell yourself that you can do it? Because you don't need a guy with a pen and pad who's barely paying attention going through hundreds of people a day to tell you that you have a chance to succeed. Now, what I love that my sister did was she worked hard for her goals and made an immediate decision. It's a lot of people talk about doing things. She actually went to Arizona to try out for The Voice, which I think is pretty nutty. However, I will say that what she did realize later on is that this was never about her becoming The Voice. It was about her telling herself that she had a voice, that she was worthwhile, that she could get past the first round, and that she could do it if she really put more energy into it. And hopefully that's what content creation and amateur casting and doing things like this is for you. It's not to make sure that you go and do a cast and suddenly realize that, hey, I did this one cast, I did this tournament, or, I went out here and I made a couple of YouTube videos, and now I'm going to be the #1 guy at Blizzard or Hi-Rez Studios or Activision or et cetera, et cetera. You're going to have to make that internal assessment as to whether you believe you can get to that level, and you may spend a lot of time trying to figure that out, but I highly suggest you look at that seriously, because this is not something that's for the faint of heart. This is not a journey that you want to start, spend 6 years on, and then stop, unless your motivation is not something external like that, and it's internal like my sister's, where she really wants to just see that she can do this, that she can be successful in this, and maybe she won't be The Voice, but she at least knows that she has a voice, even if it's just getting out in the second round. This is all about what you decide to do with you. And you know what? You could make any decision you want. And honestly, I really do believe that if you wanted to stop video game industry hunting and you wanted to just be a basket weaver, you could make a career off of it. I guarantee it. But you have to have passion behind anything you do. Otherwise, people won't buy it. And that's what you need to bring to the video game industry almost more than anything. If you have passion for this, try to amp it up 2 times, because it demands a lot of you, but it gives so much back when you're able to finally be a part of this great culture of people who love games, who make games, and love watching other people play the games that they make. If you guys like the topic of this video, leave a like and let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. If you have any questions and things like that, I'll do my best, probably on this video more so than others, to answer a few and make sure I get back to you with some thoughtful responses, as well as subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more content, more Paladins, more Smite, all the gameplays coming at you soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys. As always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see y'all next time. I'm out.